GPC Summit, welcome back. I have my questions ready for my next guest, Russell McCarthy. Hello.
Hi, lovely to meet you.
Welcome, and how was the event?
Yeah, really good, really good. I got the audience to stand up and they all stood up and got involved. So, yeah, really exciting.
Lots of energy.
Indeed, indeed.
Okay, for those who are now watching the video who couldn't attend the event, of course, can you please sum up the main ideas of your talk?
Yeah, so the main principle behind my talk is that brands don't understand the true value of everything they're doing. They focus on the last interaction within a journey. And that's how Google Analytics, that's how AdWords and all the other Adobe Analytics, all the analytics platforms actually understand performance. So brands are looking at that and saying, this is the activity that's really driving the revenue. And what we're trying to do is change that thinking and get them to look at the full journey and actually understand every interaction and what impact that has on a consumer, whether it be in display, SEO, PPC, affiliates, across the board, what's actually making a true difference.
Okay, but where should an online shop start, let's say, analyzing when they're looking at their data? Because I imagine that they have quite some data, so at first it might be overwhelming.
Yep.
Where should they start?
So most brands will have an analytics platform that will say, this is the activity that's looking like it's working. So the first thing is to take a step back from that and say, are consumers actually engaging with this multiple times? Some brands that will not be the case. 99% of them it will be, and they're able to say what activity is working in a last click environment, and then start to set up things such as micro conversions of activity that goes throughout that journey. What's actually impacting a user's behavior? So are they viewing blog posts? Are they looking at product pages? Are they seeing category pages? Are they adding things to basket? And in those visits, they're not seeing the sales, but they're actually seeing all these micro conversions happen. You can start to say that those visits have value, and if you didn't have those, you wouldn't be getting the conversions. And you can get that set up really easily in Google Analytics and Adobe. That's the first indication of, do you have a problem that you can start to fix?
So I know that from my own experience that data attribution is quite challenging. So how do you guys are helping businesses in this equation?
So we have our own platform that we obviously work with people on.
Yes.
And we basically help from a consulting perspective as well, because it's not just about creating a new number, because that's what a lot of platforms focus on is, this is your last click number and therefore this is your new number and this is the number you put in your reports. It's about the change that business needs to go through, which is actually quite significant, because what you're doing is you're saying your entire principle about how you talk to someone is going to change. You're not just going to sell to them anymore. You're going to create a story, and you're going to tell that story, and you're going to put money behind buying someone weeks before they're ready to convert with you, because you're going to give them the best experience, and that's the reason why you're going to win in the marketplace. If a brand has short-term focus, it's going to be a struggle. If they understand that, if they look at that longer period of time, they're the ones who are the easier to convince that this is the right path for them.
So basically you're looking at the data and you're getting some answers to their business questions from that data, right? I mean, they get answers for their business strategy on a long-term perspective.
Indeed. And for like in affiliates, for example, an affiliate journey and an affiliate conversion can look very different, but for a lot of brands where they're led by voucher codes, for example, that tends to be at the end of a journey. So a consumer has come to a website, they've engaged with that brand, and then they go, I would like a discount off this product. They leave the website, they find a discount code, and they come back. Now, that will look like an affiliate conversion, whereas actually there's been a lot of other activity that brand has invested time and money in to bring that person to their website. So how much credit should you give to the affiliate there is what the attribution model should be telling you. So you can then make a decision on commission rates with that affiliate. And it's exactly the same in brand PPC, which is quite often at the end of a journey. How much should you invest your time and effort in brand PPC? It looks like it should be a lot because that's where a lot of your revenue is, but actually there's a lot of value further back in that journey in generic PPC, especially in SEO. because SEO tends to be undervalued by about 20% in most accounts that we work with. So they should invest more time in SEO, which will increase the amount of people who come to the website initially, and then those people will be picked up by the brand PPC later on down the line.
How much data do brands need, do businesses out there need to make use of your platform? Are there any metrics that you need in order to provide real value?
So I think there's two bits there. Is one, there's not much data that's needed to change the way the business is run, because with a very small amount of data, you're able to say, this is actually how your consumers are behaving. To get a true return on investment, you need to tend to get about 1,000 sales through our platform, so you can actually get enough movement in the conversion numbers, so we can start to make those big shifts in performance.
Optimization.
Exactly. And I think the other half of this is the amount of money you're spending. Because if you're only spending 10,000 euros a month, you're not going to be able to get and spend a lot of money on the analytics and then see a return on investment. And we appreciate that. So what we tend to say is if you're spending 100,000 euros a month, that's the type of client where we're very easily going to be able to show a return on investment. If you're spending millions, it's very easy, because a small shift will make a massive difference in revenue. The smaller companies, it then comes down to how often you actually want to run this analysis. Is this a quarterly thing? Is it a yearly thing where you actually just make those bigger shifts? And that's how we tend to work with people.
What's the biggest challenge in data analysis today that you see?
Making analysis useful. I think a lot of people think, okay, if I've got a report, it solves all my problems, and it's just not the case at all. I think you're sitting in a meeting where you have the right numbers, and then what you need to leave that meeting with is actions to change those numbers for the next meeting you're going to have. Every meeting, like where it's data-led, should leave with, I know what I think those numbers should be the next time we meet up, and how do I get to that number? So then the next time you meet, you can critique yourself against those targets. A lot of people just go, well, that was up on the number we thought it was going to be. Fantastic. Let's go and get a drink. And if it's down, they worry about it and they try to diagnose what went on. We need to take that next step and say, this data is making me a smarter marketer. I can then go and make better decisions off the back of that.
Great approach. We see so many things changing in the marketing field, so many new technologies. What do you think will be the next big thing? The next revolution?
I think the next huge thing will be when true TV is bought through programmatic media. So we've started to see some companies, we've started to see VOD, so you can start buying adverts through video on demand. When TV, and we're probably talking 10 years away, but when TV is bought in the same way that display media is bought or YouTube ads are bought now, where you can in aggregate buy a person demographically, sociographically, we're going to see a shift in the value of the data behind the decisioning for TV. And TV being 40-50%, depending on what market you're in, there's going to be a lot of money in getting efficiencies in TV media. And you're not just going to be able to say, that's got 10 million people have seen that TV advert. It will be based on the performance of what happens after that as well. They saw that TV advert and we know that person saw that and then they came to the website. It won't be correlation anymore, it'll be deterministic.
Now, we already follow you on social media and on every other channel, but for those marketers that are now watching the video, who else should we follow on social media or their blogs in order to, learn even more? Who would you recommend?
So it's a bit old school, but Avinash Kushak is the godfather of analytics, and he has a blog called Occam's Razor. If you are in marketing and you are passionate about data or want to be passionate about data, go back to the first thing he ever wrote. I don't want to belittle him, but it's probably like 2004 or even before, because even then he was writing things that are true now. The very basics that he writes are consistently correct no matter what analytics package you use. They're about acquisition behavior conversion. It's about the funnel, and getting into analytics in that way will just give you the great foundations for the future. And then I think there's a couple of companies that I love what the content they produce. So there's a real-time analytics and a smart chat bot company called Go Squared. And every week they put together a weekly newsletter, and it's probably the only weekly newsletter I read.
Okay.
And so that they collate their best content from the internet. So it's for me, it's like the old RSS feeds. I get a lot of the content I consume through that as well.
Well, thank you once again for joining us at the event and sharing with us all these insights. And what can I say? Wish you best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.